Excuse me. What's going on, dear viewers? This is Chris, host Kaine Walker, back with another episode of the Monkey Paw, episode 57, where we document the downfall of mainstream Western entertainment. I am joined by myself, and I am doing wonderful tonight. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know whether it was me needing to update my graphics card or whether It was Streamlabs OBS, but I think I got it mostly worked out now. Thank you guys for bearing with me. What we're going to be talking about tonight is going to be dealing with more gaming stuff. Hopefully we get a few more movie-related topics to discuss as certain things actually do start coming to theaters. I think we have a few things to talk about already. Maybe the next show we'll talk about He-Man and Supergirl and the Backrooms, just to name a few. But it's about time. Cinema was dead for a while before the last few weeks. But what I'm going to do is start with a little bit of good news related to our topic tonight, because it's just easier. And also we need to hear it anyway, because it's always good to hear good news going on in pop culture, even though there's like very little of it nowadays. So we're going to take down the banner. And we're going to open with the GOAT himself, Hidetaka Miyazaki. Give me a second. I'm going to try and open the chat here on my right side. Nope. Oh, there we go. All right. Sorry, give me one more second. Bam. And bam. Okay. So that's me in the chat right there. All right. So, From Software president Hidetaka Miyazaki has made it clear that the studio will continue focusing on creativity instead of making safe sequels just to satisfy investors. He believes that giving developers the freedom to create what they are passionate about is key to making truly valuable games. We are able to freely, this is a quote by him, we are able to freely create the games we want to make without excessive interference, Miyazaki said, adding that maintaining this environment is important for delivering truly valuable games. Miyazaki wants future entries in series like Bloodborne, I skipped ahead, in series like Elden Ring or Bloodborne to happen because the team has strong ideas for them. So as you can see, this is a very normal take by games director who's clearly passionate about what he does. Seems like somebody who actually has their finger on the pulse of gaming culture when it comes to the reason why his studio got popular in the first place and why people continue to flock to the games he produces. Always good to hear. Let's see what the comments are saying. Oh, that's why he's the GOAT. Yep, exactly. That's why Miyazaki is the GOAT. He's the GOAT for a reason. I always say this, but living at the exact same time as Miyazaki, I feel like it's the same thing as, hang on, what the fuck does this say? Let me play this. Wait. Hang on. What the fuck is this thing saying? Hang on. Wait, is it playing through my... I don't think it's playing. Hang on. I want y'all to hear this. Hold up. Let me see if I can fucking get it to play through the right place. Hold up. I think it is playing through the right place, but let me try again. Hold up. Let's do it that way.
I always say this, but living at the exact same time as Miyazaki, I feel like is the same thing as living at the same time as some great author, whether Shakespeare or something else. I know it's just video games, but this guy is truly an amazing man. You know, he's one of the only people in Japan in their company to go from the mailroom to CEO within his own lifetime. You know how impossible that
crazy.
Is in Japanese work culture? He went, and then when he made Dark Souls 1, then he got his funding cut because it was too radical. And then they brought him back because they realized Dark Souls 1 became a cult classic. Then he made Dark Souls 3, and Dark Souls 2 was made with his support. And then they made Bloodborne, and then he became the CEO of the fucking company. That's impossible in Japanese work culture. Okay?
I won't lie.
I always say
Blaze is
this,
unreal, but hey, I do like Miyazaki a lot. I admire his passion for making games and his philosophy behind game design. You know, it's always cool to see. Then what the fuck was Night Rain and what the fuck is Dust Bloods? We haven't even seen anything about Dust Bloods yet, but from what I hear about Night Rain, they were very upfront about it being experimental. So I'm not sure why people are so mad about Night Rain. Puzzles the shit out of me. Somebody making a foot fetish joke. Just to satisfy investors. How about to satisfy players? We're the ones who want Bloodborne 2 the most. If they make Bloodborne 2, and if that shit releases on PC, that shit's... You thought Silk Song broke the store. That shit's definitely breaking the fuck out of every store. Absolutely. Unless it's a PlayStation exclusive, which... I don't know. I think that's still a very real possibility. I just don't want it to be the case, though. But anyway, you get the point of me talking about why it's so positive that we still have a games director who's, you know, forwarding this philosophy of wanting to create valuable games and trying to not pollute the art with the motives of investors who don't have an artistic or creative bone in their fucking body. Because it's rare to see, unfortunately, in the current landscape of entertainment in general, not even just games. But unfortunately, I led with this just to give us a bit of a high before we start going down to hell. So we're going to start with this article here from GameSpot, and it's going to be about Fable getting rid of the binary morality system. I won't lie. I came into Fable during Fable 3. I think that was Fable 3. Like, one of the first missions is killing, I want to say Hobbs. I remember a dude talking about, you know, they can cast spells, but they can't put their pants on the right way around. Like, somebody tell me which one that is. I think it's Fable 3. That game was very fun. It was very easy, but it was very fun. It was very immersive. And obviously that game still had the binary morality system. What I don't understand is why developers for the new Fable, which nobody's going to buy that shit. Why they're why they are moving forward with getting rid of the binary morality system. Because it's kind of the entire point of an RPG. Moral gray areas kind of don't work. Because, especially when the writing is built around story-based decisions, in which there is a good ending and a bad ending. I mean, I guess you could have a third morally gray ending, but still, that's a third ending, not the whole game, right? Like, I don't know. I think it strips away a lot of the depth and immersion that was present in previous Fable titles, which I didn't play 1 or 2. I only played 3. But I do know that the binary morality system was present in all of them. The reason why I think that is because first of all, it cancels out replay value, right? Like, it's very normal for people to do a good playthrough and an evil playthrough in RPGs. Just kind of makes sense. But now we have morally gray playthroughs forever now, apparently. Like, it's just weird. I don't get it. Like, you're deliberately removing content for what seems like no reason, even though, I mean, it's probably ideologically motivated because, you know, moral relativism is a very prevalent thing in a lot of games for some reason nowadays. These libtards and their moral gray BS. What's up, Tyrant? Thanks for showing up, man. If you can, spread the link. I'm just talking about some stuff I'm seeing going on in gaming news. I don't know if you were here for the beginning. I said, like, maybe in the next show we can talk about some movies because some did drop. And we have a good spread of movies that were kind of good / like are doing well and movies that are doing poorly. And I think it's a good thing to see because I'm glad that more media is being introduced that motivates people to actually go and see it just in general. Like we always said since the start of this bullshit, nobody hopes for anything to fail. Everyone who's ever been into pop culture has always wanted to see it in a healthy state because, again, these are people's favorite fucking pastimes. I'm glad that people are going to go see Backrooms and Obsession, There's this other movie called The Furious. I'm glad people are going to go to the theaters and they don't feel like they're being preached to or having their fucking time wasted. And here's the thing, right? I think I've said this once or twice on occasion. Even if I don't like some of this new shit that's being produced by other people, one, it at least feels like an honest attempt at trying to entertain people. And even if I don't like it, it's a new reason for why I don't like it instead of like the normal shit we've been seeing. Like if I don't like it, it'll be for something other than like political motivation. I call it a refreshing kind of bad. That's how I normally phrase it. But anyway, Fable is going deeper with its morality scale. It's not strictly... man, I really don't think you're going deeper. I really don't. I do not think you're going deeper. Calling everything morally gray is not going deeper. It's not. Especially when it comes to a game design standpoint. Because, like, games aren't just pure philosophy. Like, sure, if you want to talk about morality in general and saying that not everything is a good choice and not everything is necessarily a bad choice, okay, fine. But that's a philosophical discussion. As far as game design, that is a very, very, very shallow approach, dude. Shallow approach. There's no good ending. There's no evil ending. There's only the fucking whatever the fuck bullshit ending they're going to have. And they might still have multiple endings, right? Because I don't want to make it all about the way the game ends. I want to make it more about the choices you make throughout your gameplay journey, which is the point of the fucking morality system, being diminished. Like, there's no motivation to make one choice over the other. There's, again, like I said before, it affects replay value. You know, the way it comes across is that it's taking control away from the player to write their own destiny, which is the entire point of an RPG, and what was especially the point of Fable. Again, I can only speak from the perspective of Fable 3, but I remember going into that fucking dream world or whatever it's called. I forgot what it was called. And like talking to the spirits or something there, and like things would change in that world based on good or evil decisions you made, leading to like one ultimate choice that decided the ending for your game. You know, like everyone remembers the devil horns and the halo, depending on how good or how bad you were. I don't know, man. The more I think about it, the more it seems like they're just boiling it down and stripping what made the binary morality system a lot more deep than what they're giving it credit for. From a game design standpoint. Excuse me. Ugh. It's not strictly a matter of being good or evil in the new Fable. As the developer explains why your actions will define you. I mean, they already did. So is this thing about to tell me how there is like a predetermined good or bad choice? Whatever. We'll see. I feel like they're going to have the same thing be possible, but remove the labels for some odd reason. But I don't know. Let's just read. The original Fable trilogy gave players a choice between actions that were defined as either good or evil. Playground Games' Fable reboot is retaining a morality system, but it's not going to be quite so simple and binary. Instead, players will be able to have more nuanced characters who may not necessarily be either good or evil. So are you going to implement like a D&D style? I doubt it. I really don't think they're going to do that. Morality was always such an important part of the original trilogy, said Fable general manager and director Ralph Fulton during an interview with Xbox Wire. I think that original trilogy is inextricably linked with the concept of good and evil, but I think morality in video games, oh lord. But I think morality in video games has moved on in the intervening period. How we think about morality in the world today has... Fuck. How we think about morality in the world today has really informed how we wanted to represent it as a game system in this game. Oh my god, bro. Current day. This is like a medieval setting, and we're getting current day, bro. We can't escape it. fable for a modern audience. What the fuck does the morality in the world today have to do with my video game? You know what I'm saying? I can make the world whatever the fuck I want it to be. Why are they leaning so hard on today, our world? Like, that's the whole point of making a video game and making a fantasy world. Like, just pollution everywhere. They just can't help it, dude. Can't help themselves. Morality in the world today. Let me just read this shit. How we think about morality in the world today has really informed how we wanted to represent it as a game system in this game. That's to say, there is no objective good, there is no objective evil. Oh my god, people, they called it, dude. They called it. Who cares about objectivity when it comes to moral decisions? Who cares? It can just be, even if I disagree with a choice the game makes and they call the, let's say I disagree on what the game labels the action as. Like, they say something you did is evil and I disagree. Who gives a fuck? The game said it was an evil choice. I'm going to play around the choice the game made, right? Or the play around the definition that the game gave that choice, right? But I'm able to separate myself from the fucking game. Apparently they're not. Everything that they make has to reflect their own personal moral code. They can't make anything that's geared toward, you know, the human experience in general. They can't just make a scenario, right? They can't just use the binary good and evil for its design intent. They have to make it so that their own personal moral code is what defines the design philosophy of the game. It can't be based on folklore or fantasy or how we've traditionally seen decisions made by heroes. It has to be their own. Oh boy. All right. Morality isn't objective. Anyway, really it's just about people's subjective opinions and what they choose to value in someone else when they make that judgment. Yes, that is exactly why the binary morality system was so intricate. Because there's been situations in games where, like, the developers will define it, like I just said. Developers define a certain choice as evil, and the players disagree with the developers, and they make that choice every time. And no one cares whether it's good or evil. Again, who cares? Like, it's not meant to be objective. Why does it have to be? You know? I don't get it. I don't get it. They're not even testing the how do I put this? They're not testing the boundaries of Fable's morality system in an interesting way either. Like, what if you have to kill the children of monsters, right? Like, yeah, they're monsters, but they're still children, right? Like, why don't you do something interesting like that? What if some guy in a village falls in love with a monster and, like, you know what I mean, the town chases him out or whatever, and you have to decide whether or not you want to side with him and his love interest, or you kill them both or something like that. Like, they're not playing with the morality system in an interesting way. They're just asserting there is no objective good or objective evil. Like, and what are the choices going to be? You know what I mean? Because, like, again, the entire point of the fucking binary morality system was your choices. It sounds like they're just removing the impact your choices actually have on not only your playthrough, but the world in game. You know? How the fuck is this gonna work? Fulton went on to explain that the new Fable's morality isn't a sliding scale. Then what the fuck? If it's not a sliding scale, then what is it? You've gone from the binary morality system to one that's more gray and nuanced, according to you. So how is it not a sliding scale? Instead, players will be judged by their actions if they're spotted by at least one other character. I mean, that sounds like the karma system from Fallout to me. And even then, Fallout's morality system was a sliding scale. I mean, there was still a sort of binary where you're either good or evil, right? But one, you could turn evil and become good, and you could be good and become evil. And like there was different rankings for how good or how evil you were. I don't know. That mechanic where you can commit crimes out of sight from other people, that's already kind of a thing in like most RPGs in general. So I don't know how that's supposed to change anything up. He added that players may gain significantly different reputations at each town based on what they've become known for. That also sounds like Fallout system. You can be liked in one location and vilified in another. Dude, that still acknowledges a binary. Either people like you or they don't. Either you have a good reputation or a bad reputation. Or people just don't know you. Right? It's why we say our game will never judge you, but the people of Albion will. And what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Added Fulton. Well, that's the same thing, surely, isn't it? That's what I'm asking. But in a diegetic way. What the fuck does that mean? It's really not, because different people in Albion will have different perspectives on the things you've done, which again kind of mirrors the real world. I figured it already mirrored the real world in that. Like, I don't know if they played the other Fables, but whether or not you're good and evil and whether people like you or not were two completely different things, if my memory serves. Because I had a Halo in Fable, but what I would do is I'd buy properties and I'd make the rent the maximum because it's just a huge amount of passive money. So I'd go to town and people would fucking hate my guts because their rent is to the fucking moon, but I would still be considered a good guy by the game's morality system. So what is this? Like, I need a better explanation. I don't even think I need an explanation. I need a demonstration, because he's trying to make this shit sound different, but it doesn't sound different at all. Yes, different people are going to feel differently about you. Like, again, even in the other Fable games, some people could like you, some people could hate you, depending on what you did. There were also decisions that affected a mass amount of people's, what's the word? There were decisions that affected the way the general populace felt about you as well, but that didn't, you could still ruin relationships on the individual level. So again, I really don't know what they're getting at, dude. It just, according to Fulton, the game ultimately comes down to choices and consequences. That sounds a lot like the original game, or the original trilogy. Like, okay, so what's the point in calling it morally gray? What are the choices like? What are the consequences like? If everything's morally gray, surely, I just want to know what it all means, dude. This shit is just confusing. Because they're saying there's no binary, but there clearly is a binary. Clearly. We call that freedom in the sense that it's the freedom to make the choices you want, said Fulton. Yeah, you already had that, dude. It's the freedom to be the kind of hero you want to be. It's a freedom to go where you want and do what you want. And those things wrap up into what people really remember about the original Fable games. And therefore, it became imperative for us to include that ability to make choices. Dude, what the fuck are you saying? You are doing a terrible job defining what this system is, dude. Like I can't tell what it's supposed to be. Our game is packed full of choices, but also to see the consequences of that and to live with the consequences of the choices you make. Fable will be released this fall for Xbox Series X/S, PlayStation 5, and PC. Alright, I know exactly as much as I did after reading this article as I did going in. Okay, whatever. Anyway, part of the reason why I'm reading these other articles is to show the contrast between what a good developer thinks like, or how a good developer thinks, or a good studio thinks, and how a bad one thinks, right? Miyazaki clearly would never change something that drew the original audience into the product in the first place. Yet, for some reason, the developers of this latest Fable have done several things that would push away the original audience. First, the main character is this weird dysgenic looking person, and now you're doing away with the binary morality system. There's no halos and devil horns. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, dude. But like, you're taking the game in a completely different direction than what people would want it to go, and you're expecting people to buy this. And I'm going to this tweet here just to read the comments and people's response to it. Right, so Pirate Nation released this tweet. The upcoming Fable reboot is moving away from the series' classic good and evil system. Players will no longer grow halos for being good or horns for being evil, as Playground Games wants morality to feel more realistic and less black and white. Different people in regions in Albion will react to your actions in their own ways. Your reputation won't be fixed, allowing you to reinvent yourself as you explore new areas. Again, once again, though, not once again, not again. But correct me if I'm wrong, is what I should say. Wasn't there a story reason in each of the Fable games why the morality system was binary in the first place? Like, wasn't it like wasn't there world saving or world ending implications? Something like that. So if that's true, and if my memory serves, right, what does that mean for the stakes of this latest Fable game? What's the greatest threat that's going to be fought against by the player? Different people and regions in Albion will react to your actions in their own ways. Your reputation won't be fixed. I already said that. Never mind. So more feminist My Morals narrative. So people are already sussing out it's ideologically motivated. Translation: more bullshit, leftist, and more relativism incoming. They are remaking Fable by replacing everything good about the game and replacing it with bullshit. I just want the game like Molyneux promised. I just want the game that Molyneux promised. Is that hard to ask? More gay and lame writing. Fable is done. Yeah. I mean, we knew Fable was done when we saw who they carted out as the fucking main character. Which, for the record, again, couldn't you make your own character in Fable? Like, you know, you could pick male, female, and like do a created character. Maybe that was just a thing in 3. More leftist. No one is bad except for Republicans. They are just misunderstood. If they kept the black and white system, they would probably make you grow horns for owning more than one property. Relativism. I mean, I don't know. I feel like making the game morally gray kind of removes a layer of depth to the moral relativism claim because, again, like, you could personally not have the same moral compass as the game you're playing, but you can still look at it from those lenses because you happen to be a person who can separate themselves from whatever media you happen to be participating in. I don't know, like, I feel like part of the reason you make art and entertainment is to experiment with people's understanding of different philosophies, perspectives, situations, walks of life, etc. So, I don't know. But then again, these people make shit to see themselves. So maybe I'm overthinking it. I will miss the giant evil horns, though. Yep. The one feature so iconic to the series that it was literally visualized as the main cover art piece of each title that came before this entry. Yeah. Yes. Like, the binary morality system was at the forefront of every game. Every single one. Just doing away with it. Like it was never an important feature or anything. I should go back and play the other two Fables. I hear great things about Fable 2. And I hear that Fable 3 was a pretty mediocre game to most people, which, if I'm being honest, the gameplay of Fable 3 is very mid. But I did like the immersive world, and I did like the characters. So that's what kept me playing. And the gameplay was fun enough, right? Fun enough to keep me playing, like with the spell weaving system, the ability to own property and generate like tons and tons of resources and shit, like gold. It was fun to me. I liked it. If I like 3, I'll most likely enjoy 1 and 2. I can already tell that it's going to be another woke DEI feminine slop. Take another beloved franchise, remove everything unique and appealing, insult fans, experience short-term success with normies. Normies leave, apathy kicks in, franchise dies, and the cycle continues. That's funny. That's very funny. Well, it's tragic, but it's funny. All right. It's like they're doing everything in their power to make the game as humanly shit as possible. As shit as humanly possible is what they meant to say. And wasn't the moral system the core of Fable to begin with? Yeah. Also, gray morality is a fantasy. There will always be true good and true evil. I mean, here's the thing, dude. The reason why it's a binary is because in practice, that's how everyone, like, lives their life. Like, obviously, there can be certain things that sit in the middle because they neither affect you negatively nor positively. But, like, those things get fucking overlooked, clearly. That's why people tend to put things in a binary. And in real life, there are either things that negatively affect you or things that positively affect you, right? In most cases. So that's why it was so easy and so intuitive to add a binary morality system to most games, And then I think D&D actually expanded morality in the right way, in which there was like the moral alignment system, in which there was a bunch of different ways you could be chaotic good, chaotic evil, chaotic neutral, for example. But that doesn't seem to be what the fuck they're doing. Also, moral alignment in D&D served a purpose. Like, it determined, like, your relationships with certain factions, individuals, yada, yada, blah, 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 right? Certain gods you could pray to. Again, I have no idea if they're doing that. I highly doubt it. Like, I don't know what kind of purpose making everything a formless gray blob is going to serve in this new Fable, I've never played Fable, he says. I'm done with modern games. I still have a backlog of old games I haven't played before. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of games that you haven't played before. I mean, like I said, I mean that's the majority of my library this generation, old games, which is my problem with this entire next gen bullshit. Like, what the fuck is next gen? They might as well take this shit out of their vocabulary for the next console generation. Is there even going to be a next console generation? Seriously. Players will no longer grow halos for being good or horns for being evil, as playground games wants morality to feel more realistic and less black and white. So no morality system. Got it. I mean, we get it. We get it. Nobody's happy with the decision. And that's another game franchise that's gone up in smoke, which honestly, it doesn't matter. Fable got its trilogy. You know, it ended. Nobody really cares about the next game coming out. Nobody was really looking forward to a new Fable game anyway, because we all just figured it was dead. Well, not even dead. It ended, right? It got its farewell. Right. So the trend continues as we go into this next article. This one is going to be about the new Wolverine game that's supposed to be dropping. And apparently it's been revealed that Sweet Baby Inc. is working on that game. They're consulting on that game. So anything you thought might have been cool about the Wolverine game, which I immediately knew would be the case ever since seeing what they did with Spider-Man 2. Everything you thought that could possibly be cool about the Wolverine game is going to be, excuse me, completely sanitized. And all the edges will be sanded down. So let's go ahead and get into the article here. This was going to be from That Park Place. That new Wolverine game looks ass. I mean, no one seems to be able to make a superhero game in which there's like a truly unique fighting style for each character. Like it had to be, and I don't mean like fighting style like the way the character fights. I mean like the combat system used in the game. Like everything has to play like Arkham, right? And the only reason Spider-Man gets a pass is because the free flow combat system was actually started by the Spider-Man 2 movie video game and not the Arkham games. They actually kind of lifted that from the old Spider-Man 2 game. Right. So that's why the first Insomniac Spider-Man game, or I guess both of them, they get a pass for quote unquote using the Arkham fighting system. They don't really use it, like I said, like I explained before. Because Spider-Man fights like that. He hops around. He fucking dodges bullets. He does air combat. Spider-Man fights like that. Batman, the way that Batman fights in the Arkham games is not really how he fucking fights. Like the counter button shit, that's correct. But him like jumping 50 fucking feet across an arena to punch a guy, that's not how he fucking fights. He can't do that. Wolverine can fight like that. But I just kind of wish the combat system in the Wolverine game was a little different, because I'm just kind of tired of seeing the Arkham combat system. But anyway, Insomniac removes Men from X-Men name in Wolverine game after reported Sweet Baby Inc. involvement. Which again, I always say again, what the fuck is the point of that? It's the X-Men, right? Like, who are they gonna be? The X people, like X persons? I don't know, man. Insomniac has finally done what short-sighted Marvel executives have been trying to do for years with its new Wolverine game: take the word men out of X-Men, and they may have had some help from Kim Belair's Sweet Baby Inc. For years, some of Marvel's most prominent executives and creatives have openly questioned whether the X-Men name still fits modern audiences. Fans saw it in Dark Phoenix, where a much mocked line suggested the team should be called X-Women. They saw it again when former Marvel Studios executive Victoria Alonso publicly argued that the X-Men name felt outdated because the roster includes female heroes. I mean, do these people not understand that, like whether it's X-Men or X-Women, the word men is at the end of it? You know? I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching there. Who knows? Anyway. Now, a newly surfaced explanation of Insomniac Games' upcoming Marvel's Wolverine has many fans wondering whether that mindset has finally made its way into gaming. It's been a while, bro. It's already been here. According to creative director Marcus Smith, the X-Men simply don't exist in the world of Marvel's Wolverine. Instead, Logan's history is tied to a group called Team X. Wow. All right. There's a video explaining this. Is there? Let me see.
Marvel's Vision Quest is coming to Disney Plus, and it's coming out.
Is that even relevant to the fucking... Why is this video here? Is that relevant to the article? Anyway, I'm gonna skip it because it doesn't look like it's fucking relevant to the article. Anyway, the explanation has sparked plenty of discussion online, especially because a description of the replacement team sounds strikingly familiar. Insomniac says there are no X-Men in Wolverine. While discussing the game's setting, Smith explained that Insomniac is building its own version of Marvel's Mutant Corner. It's our own unique take on the world, and as such, we are putting it in modern times, he said. There's that word again. But the X-Men do not exist. The X-Men are not in our game, and where we do start is Logan has been around for a while. He's been part of a team called Team X. Man, not even the X-Force. They couldn't even use the X-Force. You know? Like, there's other X teams that don't have the word men in it. But they just don't. Whatever. At face value, that sounds like a major departure from traditional Wolverine lore. You'd be correct. But then Smith elaborated on what Team X actually is, calling them a group of mutants who go all around the world and save other mutants who are in danger. I don't really give a shit. That description immediately caught the attention of longtime Marvel fans because that's essentially what the X-Men have done for decades. I mean, yeah, they have done that, protecting mutants from the Sentinels, you know, fighting the Brotherhood of Mutants. Yeah, that's what they've done for decades, but they also save civilians. So, whether under Professor Xavier, Cyclops, Storm, or numerous other leaders, the central premise has remained largely unchanged. Mutants working together to protect and assist other mutants while navigating a world that often fears them. Which raises a simple question. If Team X is a group of mutants traveling the world to rescue mutants in danger, how exactly is it different from the X-Men? For many fans, the answer appears to be that it isn't. Team X already exists in Marvel Comics. Don't care. Another factor makes Smith's explanation even more confusing for longtime Marvel readers. Team X already exists in Marvel lore. Historically, Team X was a covert Black Ops unit connected to the Weapon X program rather than a globe-trotting mutant rescue organization. Over the years, the roster included characters such as Wolverine, Sabretooth, Maverick, Silver Fox, and John Wraith, with the group carrying on carrying out clandestine missions for government agencies. I could have sworn that was the X-Force. Maybe I'm wrong. In other words, the Team X that has existed in Marvel Comics for decades bears little resemblance to the version Smith described, and so does not explain his stupid decision to change the name whatsoever. That's what makes the explanation so puzzling. Insomniac isn't simply replacing the X-Men with another established Marvel team. Instead, it appears to be taking the name of an existing Marvel group and attaching it to a concept that sounds much closer to the traditional role of the X-Men themselves. A team of mutants traveling the world to help mutants in danger has been one of the defining pillars of the X-Men franchise for generations. For many fans, that only reinforces the perception that Insomniac has effectively recreated the X-Men under a different name while discarding the word men from the title. Because, I mean, why else make it such a huge announcement that the word men is being removed from, the team name? What's the point? Marvel has been wrestling with the X-Men name for years. The reason this announcement landed so differently than a typical continuity change is because Marvel has a history with this particular topic. Back in 2019, Dark Phoenix featured a scene in which Mystique suggested that perhaps the team should be renamed X-Women. Oh, so this is a recent fucking discussion, and it holds no actual weight to anyone who's been reading the X-Men for more than 5 minutes. Because I guarantee this wasn't a fucking discussion during the height of the X-Men's popularity back when the comics were the main source of, reading about them. The moment quickly became one of the most ridiculed lines in the film that was viewed by many fans as an unnecessary attempt to score contemporary social points. I mean, it clearly was like a virtue signal. Clearly. Then came Victoria Alonso's comments questioning whether the X-Men name still made sense. Those remarks generated immediate backlash from comic readers who pointed out that the name has never been a literal reference to male heroes. The X-Men derived their name from Professor Xavier and the mutant X gene, not from the gender of the team's members. Even so, the criticism never completely disappeared. That's why some fans are looking at Team X and seeing more than a simple creative decision. They see a concept that appears functionally identical to the X-Men, but stripped of the word men. Sweet Baby Inc.'s connection continues to draw scrutiny. The discussion surrounding Marvel's Wolverine has also been fueled by the game's connection to Sweet Baby Inc. My bad, I got distracted by the chat. Tally said, bless you. Yeah, thanks. They didn't even take anything from the source material. I mean, that's what it seems like. Outside of the cursory things like, Wolverine's costume, which they really didn't take that. They always like to modernize comic book costumes for some odd reason. Make them look bulkier and less like they do in the books. Wolverine needs to be a hack and slash. Yeah, it does. There have been better combat systems that Wolverine has been in. I have no idea why it needed to be like the Arkham style combat system. I just don't know. Like, how did X-Men Origins play? In 2021, the consulting company publicly announced on social media that it was helping bring both Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine to life alongside Insomniac Games. Oh, shit. Don't be fooled. Thwipped and also snicked. So excited and grateful to say we're part of the teams bringing Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine to life with the amazing folks at Insomniac Games. It's been a truly marvelous experience. There was no reason to hyphenate that. Okay. Okay, yeah, they dropped the trailer a while ago, 2025. After that announcement, however, the company became significantly less public about its involvement. That shift came during a period when Sweet Baby Inc. found itself at the center of growing controversy within the gaming community. The consultancy became known for advising studios on diversity, representation, and sensitivity issues in major projects. Critics argued that the company was helping push modern ideological priorities into established franchises, while supporters maintained it was simply offering narrative guidance, which was obviously bullshit. If you listen, they put their events and their seminars and their speeches, whatever the fuck they're called, on the internet. It's public information and public knowledge. They tell you exactly what their motives are when they're designing games. Like one of Kim Belair's motives was to burn down the gaming industry or something, she said, alluding to the gaming industry's destruction. She also said some shit about terrorizing them until you get your way. Like the fucking listen, her fucking meetings and her speeches are out there. Like that's like, you can go find that shit. Kim Belair, Sweet Baby Inc. speech. Like just look that shit up. So like, it's not like people, this is why I love the internet. You can't just call people crazy anymore and dismiss them. Like you have to actually go out of your way to do that because the information's there. It's out there. Like they clearly want to destroy this hobby from the inside for ideological reasons. Like anyway, the controversy intensified further after co-founder Kim Belair's widely discussed Game Developers Conference presentation. Yeah, that's what it was. During which she encouraged developers seeking support for diversity initiatives to pressure decision makers and terrify them about the potential consequences of not embracing such efforts. Public criticism of the company grew substantially following the release of Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, leading to organized consumer backlash and increased scrutiny of games associated with Sweet Baby Inc. Around that same period, the company dramatically reduced its public profile, becoming far less vocal about projects it was attached to. It was too late by that point. Whether Sweet Baby Inc. had any involvement in the Team X decision remains unknown. I mean, I'm going to choose to believe they did have involvement regardless, because it's against my best interest to not assume they had involvement. I already know that they were supposed to be the ones helping them work on the game. I have no reason to believe that's changed. And based on Insomniac's prior releases and the fact that it's confirmed that Sweet Baby Inc. was in fact working on their on Spider-Man 2, the very last game. I mean, 1 + 1 = 2, bro. Like, why should I assume otherwise? However, the company's previously announced connection to Wolverine is one reason fans continue examining new details about the project so closely. The debate isn't going away. Insomniac may ultimately have a compelling reason for replacing the X-Men with Team X. Perhaps the game's story will reveal significant differences between the two groups. Perhaps there are narrative twists that have yet to be disclosed. Bro, I don't think anyone gives a shit about any of that. What people wanted was a Wolverine game. You didn't even have to have a particularly deep story. People weren't asking for extravagance with this shit, bro. They just wanted good gameplay and a halfway decent story. Like, what do you expect from Wolverine? What do you want when you hear... What do you think of when you hear the phrase Wolverine video game? Whatever you're thinking right now, yeah, that's exactly what people wanted. I'm talking about normal people who know what Wolverine actually does and what the character's about. But based on what has been shared so far, many fans aren't seeing a new concept. They're seeing a team of mutants who travel the globe helping mutants in danger. In other words, they're seeing what sounds an awful lot like the X-Men. And after years of hearing Marvel figures criticize the name itself, it's not difficult to understand why some players believe Team X represents less of a reinvention and more of a rebranding. How do you feel about the changes made to the X-Men and Insomniac's Wolverine game? Sound off in the comments and let us know. All right. Did they even comment is the question. I don't see any comments. But anyway. There's no comments on the article, but there's comments here. Let's see if we can pull these up. I wanted to match it up with that Park Place's tweet, but Dextro's tweet will work. Because it's still a general barometer for how the public at large is feeling about these decisions, right? The whole thing is a reminder that we lost. What do you mean that we lost? What do you mean? Not that I'm disagreeing. I just don't know what you mean. I mean, you can see here. Dextro. This is a Twitter post. Insomniac Games creative director confirms the X-Men don't exist in Wolverine, but there will be a group of mutants called Team X. It's our own unique take on the world, and as such, we are putting it in modern times. We know what that means. Rage in progress. Do not disturb. Tears of my haters. We are putting it in modern times. Oof, it's over for Wolverine. Big pass. No one ever asked for your take on an established world written by better men than them. LMAO, holy fuck. It's because it has men in the name, isn't it? Somebody got upset it wasn't X-human or X-they, them. Yo, Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. There it is, modern. Anytime a dev, writer, or anyone else involved in the game say modern, it's going to be bad. So woke, they don't want to say X-Men and exclude women. Team X. You can't make this stuff up. And that's what's even stupider, right? Yeah, the name is X-Men, but clearly women participate because the X gene affects everyone indiscriminately. But anyway. So that means it's going to be lame and gay as usual. Team X instead of X-Men, they're just rebranding to dodge the committee meetings. Team X sounds extremely boring. Tells you everything you need to know. It's not made for us. It's made for the modern audience. They have been just so supportive for the recent titles. Modern times. Just fuck off already. Reimagined for a modern audience that doesn't exist because the term X-Men is problematic. I'd rather play Void of War. I'd rather play Void of War. No, I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't rather play that. So Alpha Flight exists, right? Bruh, Alpha Flight barely had a fan base. If I'm being real, bro. I'd be very shocked if Alpha Flight made an appearance in that game. The X-Men are already in modern times. The fuck? Incoming flop ahead. What? If it's updated from modern times, then I'm non-binary. Hello, I was wondering if you have any trans developers in your studio. I like to know which games I should support. Yes, we have several. Thank you. Remove from your wish list. Oh my god, these people are fucking toxic, bro. Anyway. I mean, you get the point. Nobody likes this decision, bro. Like, I don't know what it is with every development studio chomping at the bit to shoot themselves in the foot with a 50 cal Desert Eagle, bro. I don't get it. Don't understand. All they have to do is just take a well-known property that has baked-in fans and a baked-in audience and just do the same thing the medium the character comes from does, and they make a bunch of money. But you have to ask yourself, If it's not about the money, what is it about? The fucking Joker scene comes into my head. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. All right, anyway. As you can see, it's looking pretty bleak for the culture of gaming. This is going to become more and more and more and more relevant because the new Halo's coming out. There was already a big old debate about that. What else, bro? Like, every game that gets released pisses somebody off. And it's not like it's from people who just don't like change. People can understand when you're fundamentally changing something from what made it good in the first place. But again, those arguments get dismissed as you not liking the new thing. Old, good, new, bad. Oh, you're just an old man yelling at the clouds. Blah, blah. Yeah, but they say all that shit to dodge legitimate criticism. Like, most of the complaints people make are shit that can be actively measured. Like, you can compare and contrast. You can demonstrate what's missing from the new product that was present in the old product, right? Anyway, I guess it's easier to dilute your position to old, good, new, bad than it is to actually engage with the point you're making. But anyway, this next one is going to be... Oh, let me take the banner down. This next one is going to be from Video Games Chronicle. It says, Ori director says Game Pass would have worked if Xbox didn't slop out mediocre content like a factory. The Moon Studios CEO argues Microsoft has not delivered enough hit games. The director of Xbox's critically acclaimed Ori games has criticized Microsoft. Excuse me. I thought it was just one Ori game, and then the fucking Ultimate Edition or Definitive Edition or whatever it's called. But the director of Xbox's critically acclaimed Ori games has criticized Microsoft's Game Pass strategy, claiming that the subscription service could have been a bigger success if the company didn't incentivize studios to slop out mediocre content like a factory. Game Pass has come under focus again this week after news broke that Microsoft is allegedly planning significant cuts across its gaming business, including the potential closure of at least 3 studios, Double Fine, Compulsion, and Ninja Theory, purchased during Xbox's big subscription push. Matter of fact, let me pause here and get another article that I wanted to talk about, because the fact that they brought up studio closures reminds me that there's something that I wanted to discuss tonight involving that very topic. This is how much they hate. This is how much, bro. This is how much they don't like the true target audience for this fucking goddamn hobby. I'm sorry to pause in the middle of an article like this, but I think this is a very important topic to cover. This next one after this one. All right. So I prepared that. I'm going to go back to the article we were just reading, and then I'm going to go to that next one. Sorry about that. Game Pass's last known subscriber figure was 34 million, published back in February 2024. However, growth is understood to have slowed in recent years, and Xbox recently confirmed that a price rise introduced last year shed millions of subscribers in a few months. Excuse me. Moon Studios CEO Thomas Mahler, who directed both Ori games. Are there really 2 Ori games? I literally only remember Ori and the Blind Forest. Is there another one? Maybe there's another one I don't fucking know about. Wrote on X that he believed Game Pass hasn't been more successful because Xbox did not produce enough hits. I mean, here's the thing though. What would producing hits do for Game Pass? Maybe he knows something I don't know, but the majority of maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Because I guess the main draw is supposed to be all the new games from this current generation you could play, with the added bonus of the fucking massive library of old titles, right? Okay, that makes sense. I can see where his rationale lies, because if there was a bunch of like hit games on Game Pass, people would encourage to own it just to play those games, I guess. I don't know. Because even then, in my mind, I'm thinking, why would you not just buy those games yourself and not have to pay a monthly subscription? Anyway, let's just keep reading to figure out the full extent of his rationale. Mahler was responding to a post from 3D Realms founder Georges Broussard, in which he questioned whether Microsoft overbought studios in an attempt to feed its Game Pass ambitions. I mean, I don't think it would be overbuying studios if they actually bothered to give them creative freedom to produce a fucking good product. I mean, the only reason people are wondering now why Microsoft even bothered to buy all these studios just to fucking close them is because they're just closing them, right? And the reason why that's extra weird is because they seem to be closing studios for reasons other than them not delivering on a good product, which is just weird. I'm gonna get into that more when we read the other article, because a studio that I'm very shocked they're bothering to close is going to close. I just don't want to spoil the article yet. The Game Pass strategy could have worked if people would have shown up for it, Mahler wrote. Problem is, they didn't, and the software catalog was just nowhere near good enough to make people happily pay the subscription every month. It's the same as with streaming in the film business. I'll happily pay my HBO sub because HBO has amazing content that I want to watch. I'd keep that sub just to binge Sopranos, The Wire, Game of Thrones, etc. But with games, new for some reason is very, very important to players. And if your new content doesn't even remotely match the quality of the old content, you've got a problem. I mean, the majority of that is that, honestly, I think the thing that really killed it more than anything was that it cost too fucking much. Because if it was something that was affordable, people would still have it, even though there's a bunch of old shit in the library that they've already played, right? Because, it would be inexpensive. Because even if you didn't play those games all the time, you would still have them to play. Right? Like, people aren't going to cry about $10 a month being paid for a subscription. But, I mean, when they see that you're increasing the fucking price, they're definitely going to. So I think that has more to do with it than anything. I think the number 2 reason would be that there's so much fucking old content that people have already fucking played. The Moon Studios CEO added that he believed Microsoft needed its studios to deliver more hits that a broad audience would want to play. But what was the big Xbox game in recent years that was just delightfully good? That game doesn't exist, he wrote. Almost every single first-party studio in recent years has been floundering. You'd want Bethesda to create a Skyrim in space. That ought to be better than Skyrim, was cause that was an old game. You'd want Bethesda to create a Skyrim in space that ought to be better than Skyrim was. Let me reread that. You'd want Bethesda to create a Skyrim in space that ought to be better than Skyrim was because that was an old game, but we got Starfield instead. And that's the crux of the issue. You need the Xbox folks to deeply, fundamentally understand gamers and what they want. They need to understand what's a good game and what's a mediocre game. And they need to have good deals with devs so developers are actively incentivized to produce massive hits, not just slop out mediocre content like a factory. Mahler said that Game Pass had become a little like communism because it had not given developers a strong incentive to roll up their sleeves and go the extra mile. Hey, man, I can't really argue with the logic because what happens in communist nations? The doctor is paid the same as the fucking, for example, drive-through fast food worker, right? And that doesn't make any fucking sense because being a doctor is infinitely harder than being a fast food worker. But in a communist nation, they'd be getting paid the same. So you have no incentive as a doctor to try. Why the fuck would I work this hard for no benefit? Right? Why? For what? It makes sense. People don't understand how powerful incentives are. And if you then don't get the quality you need, it all comes crashing down because players will not pay up unless you basically force them to by making content that's so good that they feel like they miss out if they don't check it out. I mean, that's not forcing them to do anything. That's just providing a good product. That's all that is. You can't force anyone to give you money. You can only persuade them to by offering them a good product, or at the very least, a good marketing campaign. According to Metacritic's annual publisher rankings, Microsoft was the 5th best publisher in 2025 in terms of aggregated review scores. In 2024, Bethesda ranked 8th. In 2023 and 2022, Microsoft didn't make the top 10. However, in 2021, it grabbed a rare top place thanks to Forza Horizon 5, Psychonauts 2, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. I mean, there you have it. I mostly read that to get the the CEO of Ori's take on why no one is making good games anymore from Microsoft Studios or studios in general. Like, obviously, there's still a few that are making or attempting to make good content. But, again, it's few and far in between. Like, the general landscape is very mediocre, very dumbed down, very sanitized. You know, like, everyone wants to deviate from the exact same things that brought them an audience in the fucking first place, and it doesn't make any sense. Okay. This is the article that I wanted to show you guys, because when we talk about studio closures, like I said, it's usually because a studio has a track record of doing very poorly, you know? And that's the reason why they close them down. But this just kind of seems like a fucking waste to me. So Wario64 tweeted out, The Verge, Microsoft currently weighing closing at least 5 studios, including Arcane Studios, and exploring options to sell Arcane Studios. I hope somebody who actually gives a fuck about the properties that Arcane has buys them. It'd be great. I'm keeping my fucking fingers crossed on that. Xbox layoffs reportedly starting July 6th. So, like, Arcane Studios, right? The makers of Dishonored. Yes, I know they made Dishonored 2 and that shit flopped for political reasons again, right? But they're still Arcane Studios. Like, I've seen what they're capable of, right? One good game would bring them back from the brink, dude. Like, they were just too good at what they did. Even Dishonored 2 had remnants of what they were previously known for from the first game. It was just the story was shit, and there was obvious signs of like political meddling with like feminist messaging and all that other shit, right? Feminist Frequency, the Mary Sue, and like Anita Sarkeesian liked Dishonored 2. Like, what does that fucking tell you? What the fuck does that tell you? None of them, they hate men and they hate male hobbies. Why the fuck would they like those games? Right? But anyway, this studio has a lot of talent in it. Like, even with that Love, Death, and Robots short film they made, like Bad Travel. I mean, I watched it. It was great. I could still see the level of creativity still present in that studio. The level of writing, the ability to, you know, make like very compelling scenes, horrific scenes, character motivations, all that. Like, if you've never seen Bad Travel, I highly recommend it. But here's the thing that puzzles the shit out of me, right? Like, they were in the middle of making a Blade video game, right? Arcane, I didn't even know Bethesda was a part of that. Didn't know that at all. But like, Arcane Studios was apparently going to make a Blade game. And now I'm thinking, why are they closing this studio? You know? And apparently this was announced in 2023. Yeah, it's been 3 years. I don't know. I should be holding this up to a little bit more scrutiny because of like the fact that, you know, Sweet Baby Inc. exists, and like they could easily be talking to like consultation people and shit with all the controversy with Dishonored 2. I don't know. It just seems like a weird move for them to close the studio when they have a game in development that people might actually like. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting on my tinfoil hat a little bit, but it just seems a little bit convenient. Like, why is this game stuck in development hell? And in my head, I'm thinking maybe that's because people might have actually liked it. Because here's the thing, it's a Blade video game. And like, we talk about the progressive stack, I don't think they would be very motivated to fuck with a black superheroes video game. You know, like, I don't know. Again. Let's read this tweet and then get into the article, because I don't know why they're trying to close the studio. It's just weird. Over 4 years, Microsoft spent about $76 billion buying video game studios. It is now weighing whether to shut at least 5 of them. To shut at least 5 of them, including the studio building Blade, a Marvel game that may get canceled before anyone plays it. The studio making Blade, Arcane, came to Microsoft inside its $7.5 billion purchase of Bethesda in 2021. The game was meant to arrive late this year. The Verge reports the internal release date has slipped to late 2027, and the budget has run over. Arcane's other studio in Texas made Redfall, which flopped. Oh yeah, I forgot about Redfall. I won't lie. I forgot about that game. Which flopped and was shut down in 2024. The Lion team behind Blade could be next. The cuts have come in waves for 2 years. Microsoft let go of roughly 1,900 gaming staff. In early 2024, and closed several studios that spring. More followed in autumn. Last summer, it removed about 9,000 roles across the whole company. The layoffs reported to start next week are the newest round, with more than 1,000 jobs and 5 studios under review. 2 things explain it. What a game costs to make and how players pay for it now. A modern big budget game runs past $200 million to build. The number UK regulators attached to titles due in 2024 and 2025 up from $50 to never mind. I undershot the shit out of that. Up from $50 to $150 million in 2018. Blowing past that is easy. On the other side is Game Pass, Microsoft's roughly $20 a month service that lets people download as many games as they like for one flat fee. Someone who plays Call of Duty through it, instead of buying it for $70, still pays only the monthly fee. I mean, this is a bad example. Call of Duty is a PvP game. Why would anybody play? Why would anybody pay a monthly fee to play Call of Duty? Doesn't make any sense. For the PvP games, you would easily just buy them and own them and not engage with Game Pass for that. Like, the only reason you would be playing Call of Duty on Game Pass is because, like, it was just there. It was just there. You know, because, like, it's included with your purchase. Otherwise, why would you pay a monthly fee for that? Because you play Call of Duty on Game Pass for 4 months. That's already more than what the game is originally priced for. Bloomberg reported Microsoft may have given up more than $300 million in sales on that one game by moving it onto the service. Microsoft's gaming arm pulled in $23.5 billion last fiscal year. The squeeze is structural. Building a game keeps getting more expensive while a subscription caps with what each player pays to play it. The team's now waiting to hear if they survive. If they survive, made Dishonored, and this year, this grammar is killing me. The team's now waiting to hear if they survive, made Dishonored. And this year's well-reviewed South of Midnight, they made that shit too. Oh my god. Among others. For scale, Microsoft spent about 5 times as much assembling these studios as Disney paid to buy Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars put together. One of the games it may cancel is a Marvel game. Maybe I don't want to say it, but after hearing how many games that they made that flop, maybe Arcane does deserve to shut down. But like, I don't know. I don't want to see this fucking studio shut down, even with all the bullshit, because of like how good Dishonored was and how much talent I think I know is still at the studio. Like I said, I know Dishonored 2 is controversial. Redfall was a flop. South of Midnight was a flop. But like, if Microsoft does close the studio, which it doesn't even sound like they're going to close it. It sounds like they're going to sell it from what I read. If they sell the studio, I hope somebody who cares about making a fucking good game buys it. I hope those same people who made some of the things like Dishonored 1 and shit are still there. It'd be cool. But here's the article attached to that by The Verge. And this will be the last article of the night before I close out. Let me see. It's going to be from The Verge. Xbox weighs canceling Blade game and shuttering Arcane. Microsoft could shut at least 5 studios as part of big Xbox layoffs starting next week. Ugh. And this was like published June 30th. So today, 12 p.m. CDT. Microsoft is set to announce a wave of layoffs for its Xbox studios and employees next week. Sources familiar with Microsoft's plan tell The Verge that the layoffs will lead to studio closure or spin-offs, potential mergers of studios, and canceled games. I understand Microsoft is currently weighing closing at least 5 studios, including the developers behind Marvel's Blade. Sources tell me Microsoft wants to cancel Blade as part of a wave of cost cuts and job losses that are planned for the company's Xbox gaming division. Developed by France-based Arcane Studios, best known for the Dishonored series, Blade was originally supposed to debut later this year, according to sources familiar with the game's development. I'm told the internal ship date for the game slipped to late 2027, and it's also running over budget. While Microsoft is weighing canceling Blade, it's also exploring options to sell Arcane Studios. Bloomberg reported earlier this month that Microsoft is trying to spin off Compulsion Games, Double Fine, and Ninja Theory 2. GamesBeat reported this week that Microsoft is actively looking for a buyer for Undead Labs, the developers behind State of Decay. If buyers are found for these studios, then they'll avoid being closed. But sources stress these talks could take months in some cases. Compulsion Games, Excuse me. The developers behind South of Midnight. I knew that wasn't Arcane. I knew that wasn't fucking Arcane. Oh my god. Compulsion Games made that shit. He's already convinced that closure is imminent and has started telling employees to look for jobs elsewhere. Ninja Theory employees were informed earlier this month that Microsoft wants to close the UK-based studio or spin it off. Beyond the potential studio closures, Microsoft is preparing for a wave of layoffs at Xbox that will drastically reshape its gaming division. These layoffs are due to start on July 6th, according to sources, and will hit most parts of Xbox. Rumors have suggested there could be at least 1,000 job losses, and if Microsoft goes ahead with 5 studio closures, then that at least 500 employees impacted. That's at least 500 employees impacted before the wider cuts. The upcoming layoffs are part of a reset for the Xbox division under new CEO Asha Sharma, who hinted about making hard choices last month. Sharma has repeatedly warned that the Xbox business isn't healthy, but also claimed that her mandate is not 30% accountability margins. It's to be the number one gaming and entertainment company. That's what we're going to do. How the fuck are you going to do that? I mean, hearing that you're... Okay, don't get me wrong, right? Arcane Studios has been compelled to push out some fucking trash as of late. But, I still don't want to see this studio closed down. I'd rather somebody buy Arcane Studios, and make a good game, you know? But if it turns out somebody buys the studio and they keep churning out bullshit like Team X and the new Fable shit, I mean, I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that, you know, a studio I favor is meant to close. Because, like, no, bro. I'm not going to buy the type of shit they're making nowadays, dude. I'm just not going to do it. Sorry. Microsoft's favorite pastime is buying and then killing game studios. Microsoft is a machine, takes the best, most interesting video game studios they can find and converts them into ash. I mean, yeah, that's what it feels like for Arcane Studios. That's exactly what the fuck it feels like. Arcane Studios was a very interesting, very talented, very immersive studio, dude. Or the games they made were those things, right? The people were talented, right? At this point, just use Copilot to generate the game. That's probably exactly what they're planning on. They'll spend even more money, but throw it into the AI furnace and produce plagiarized crap for games while all the game developers rot. We know who they hired to run Xbox. Wait, what's the GIF? No. I don't really get the original Microsoft play with Xbox. Either the point of being a successful monopolist in one sector is to go and monopolize another sector until the government wakes up and remembers monopolies are terrible for the economy, or you wait until the original sector's overtaking when technical innovation, supplants it. So if they're going to play in this space, you do it as a genuine loss leader until you've wiped the floor with the competition as you exit. The half measures didn't work because it's not the thing they cared about, and they didn't win because they didn't cheat. Throw the monopoly money away hard enough. We're now in the place where Microsoft tried to use the original Windows monopoly money to do search and to do mobile and to do gaming and most recently cloud, and they didn't commit hard enough to any of them to make a second monopoly. So it's slow decline and shuttering of various very successful but not monopoly successful businesses along the way. Did way better with Xbox than Bing, to be honest. Probably should have ditched Bing when they ditched Nokia/Windows Phone and gone big back then. Not with insane acquisitions, but just being a much better place, more well-resourced, well-managed place for people to work. Microsoft hundreds of billions into Xbox, subsidizing it for 25 years under the delusion that money alone was enough to blow past the competition. Time and money aren't enough. With the possible exception of Peter Moore's tenure, Xbox simply hasn't had proper direction. I guess I'll make this the last comment. Or should I? Wait. Okay, I'll make Olympic Torch the last comment. When I chose to buy an Xbox this generation, got the first time, I did so very reluctantly. I'd be missing exclusive Marvel properties like Spider-Man. I consoled, pun intended, myself that I'd get Bethesda and Obsidian exclusives as well as Game Pass with a bunch of smaller studios output. Microsoft then got so spooked by antitrust that they cross-platformed their Bethesda games, started shutting down or laying off smaller studios, bought a company I only casually used, and shut down their own Marvel exclusive game. They were frustratingly close to getting it right, but damn, that Activision deal just killed the whole thing, huh? Gutted for the teams impacted. I hope Sony or Valve does them a solid somehow. Mandate is not 30% accountability margins. It's to be the #1 gaming and entertainment company. I don't see how shutting down a bunch of promising games and great studios will lead to that. I think that's what I said. Is that what I said? I think I said that. Maybe it's all explained in some PowerPoint they have stashed somewhere. I mean, yeah, I don't know what the fuck anyone's doing right now in the gaming space. I just don't get it. I have no idea what the fuck the end game is, dude. I just don't know. What's the point? What is the fucking point? I think I'm going to end it there. What was that? 4 articles? 1, 2, yeah, 4 articles about gaming. That's a pretty good stretch of time. Yeah, like I said, I started with Miyazaki and his comments about From Software to contrast with the rest of the fucking gaming landscape. If Miyazaki's smart, he won't make any of his next titles exclusives because he won't have to be under contract for Microsoft or Xbox. Or shit, maybe he'll do Steam exclusive. Wait. Duskbloods is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess I take it back, only to stipulate that the deal they make has to make sense and have them retain complete creative control. So yeah. I think that's going to be it for this episode of the Monkey's Paw. There's still old games available. Keep your eye out on these indie gaming channels that have been springing up, telling people new things that are dropping. I wish I had some names to give you. I'm subscribed to a bunch of those channels. I follow a bunch of the pages too. Indie developers all over Twitter telling you about their game and shit. And for the record, for some reason, when people hear someone else suggest indie, they think that person is telling others that indie is going to be the fucking end-all, be-all, and it's going to save gaming. I mean, I don't think people are doing that. I think they're just trying to give you an alternative. Because, like, at the very least, even if the indie titles recommended are trash, there's bound to be something good there. And they're not gonna fucking beat you over the head with progressive bullshit most of the time. But yeah, this has been your episode of the Monkey's Paw. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all again next time. Peace. I want the gaming industry to crash faster. I kind of don't though. Like the mainstream can crash faster, but gaming itself, I want that to persist. But like the main companies, they're like fucking everybody over. Yeah, they can go. They can go. Make room for somebody else. But yeah, peace out.